So, guys, welcome back to Red Manx TV. I am joined with Kieran for a season review. How's it, mate?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Happy we got the third place. We're going to be talking positively about Manchester United for once, hopefully. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks for having
Yeah,
me on.
been a very nervous season. Yeah, any day, mate. But starting off with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, how well has he done this season? Because obviously, in the first half of the season, it was very poor. We weren't getting results, but he's turned it around. So, how do you think that happened?
Yeah, I know. It's pretty. I mean, it's a tale of two halves, really. The season for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. At the start of the season, we were getting poor results, and I think a lot of people were doubting him, especially after that 2-0 loss to Burnley. I think a lot of United fans kind of turned a little bit after that, but he's pulled it back, and whether that's due to Bruno Fernandes coming in, I think he had a big helping hand in that. But obviously, you have to give Solskjaer credit for bringing him in and also keeping the spirits high within the team. And I think it'd be wrong not to give him credit for where we finished. So yeah, he managed to turn it around, and he's done a very good job. And you have to say, at the start of the season, if you said we were going to get top four with Solskjaer as manager, I think everyone would have been satisfied with that. So he met his season objective. So I think you got to be happy with the way he's done and the way his backroom staff has done. And hopefully we can build on this for the future, get in some more signings, and he can continue to be the manager for a long time and be successful.
Yeah, I agree with many of your points there. And yeah, our objective was just to get Champions League football. But a lot of people are saying with the money we spent, we should have been maybe challenging. But I think Liverpool and City have been dominating for a few years now. Obviously, it was going to be hard to compete with them probably in our first season for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So for what he's done, I think it's impressive, really. You can't really say he's done anything bad there. What do you find, what do you like about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Because some of his tactics can be questionable, some of his subs can be questionable, and his lineup. So, what do you think about that this season? Do you think he's done well?
Yeah, I think yeah, there's definitely areas that he's done well. I do think there's definitely areas where he could improve, but again, he's still quite an inexperienced manager. Even if you look at what he's done before Manchester United, he managed Mulder and managed Cardiff for a little while. So he's still not. We can't really criticize him massively, because he's still a manager who hasn't really had too much experience at the top level, and for him to get us into the Champions League is a decent achievement for him. And I do think, as you mentioned there, a few things, obviously the substitutions and the lineup, there are some things which I think United fans would all agree that he does need to improve on. I think with substitutions, I think sometimes he's made substitutions too late in games and they haven't been able to make a difference when coming on. To be fair, the amount of depth we have, which isn't great at the moment, to be fair, hasn't helped him. But yeah, I think just there's definitely some decision making and tactics wise, I think there's definitely room for improvement there. And sometimes I think he kind of, in games where we're leading, he sometimes sits back a little bit too much. I'd like to see us maybe try and kill off the game, and I think that's what we were doing in the second half of the season. We went on a really good run, but in the first half of the season, there's a lot of times where we might go 1-0 up in the game, but then we'd sit back and allow the opposition to attack us, and our defense just wasn't good enough to deal with that. And sometimes we got lucky and got the win, and other times we conceded, and that really put us under pressure. So those are just a few things I think you need to improve on. But I think overall in the season, you have to give him credit for getting us back into the Champions League. And hopefully this season he'll learn a lot of lessons from the mistakes, and we can go forward, and he can be a successful manager with us.
Yeah, not so bad for a PE teacher, right?
Exactly.
So, do you think he's the man to take us forward or not?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it? I think obviously at Manchester United, you like to see someone who's had a bit of kind of pedigree. Obviously comes in, not really won anything as he's coming to Manchester United, and that's the only thing we haven't seen is him in the kind of finals of competitions, and see whether he can actually get over the line and win us a trophy. We got top four, and that's one of a good achievement for him, probably his best achievement in his managerial career really to date. And obviously you've got the Europa League, and I think the Europa League will actually give me a bit of an insight into what he's about really, in terms of winning trophies. I think if we can win the Europa League, that'll be a massive step forward for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He'll have a European trophy under his belt, and he can prove that he can win trophies. And I think at Manchester United, obviously you want to get back into the Champions League, you want to be challenging for titles, but winning trophies is what Manchester United is all about. And if, as a manager, you struggle to win trophies, then it's going to be difficult for you to have a really long career at the club. So I think, for me, is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the right man to take us forward? I think right now, I don't think we should be looking at getting rid of him. I think long term, potentially, we're going to have to, maybe wait a little bit more to see whether he's the right man. I think there's some evidence to suggest he is, and then obviously for some of the poor tactical decisions he's made this season, there's some evidence to suggest he isn't. So I think, again, we need to wait a little bit longer before we know exactly what to say on that. But I think if we win the Europa League this year and he proves that he can win trophies, then I don't see why not. Obviously, if you look at Sir Alex Ferguson, he came in and obviously he'd won a European Cup with Aberdeen before he came in, but he didn't really have that much pedigree. And look how his career panned out. So I'm not saying Solskjaer's going to be as successful as Sir Alex Ferguson, but you can only hope. You can only hope. But as of right now, yeah, I think he's the right man to take us forward, and hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah, I agree. Many points there. But hopefully we can win the Europa League, because I think Ole will benefit from winning the trophy. But we do have to trust in him for next season, because he's only had one season with the club. I think getting his Champions League football, I think if you gave Mourinho, Moyes, Van Gaal this season, I don't think they would have achieved that. So keep him. But going into the players this season, let's rate the players for the season. Starting off, David De Gea. What a season he's had this season. Some very, very questionable mistakes. But what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, for me, David De Gea, I think, it's been an up and down season again for him. I think realistically, he hasn't been the same really for the last 2 seasons. He's been making mistakes. Obviously, in that Leicester game, he nearly made the mistake that could have cost us dearly if Vardy tapped that away. But luckily, it didn't. And I still think he's a decent goalkeeper, but I don't know what's happened to him. It's just since the World Cup, he hasn't been himself. But this season, I don't think he's done terribly. I think even though he has made mistakes, I think it's like 3 or 4 mistakes leading directly to goals. That one against Watford, I won't be able to forget that. That was just absolutely shocking. But ultimately, for me, I think David De Gea hasn't done brilliantly this season. Although I do think he still made vital saves at points throughout the season. So I think if I had to give him out of 10, I'd probably give him about a 5, maybe. Just it's not amazing, but at the same time, I don't think he's had an absolute shocker of a season. So, if I had to rate out of 10, I'd probably give him a 5. But who knows? He might be replaced next season. Who knows? Dean Henderson looks like he might be coming in, or someone like Romero. So we'll see what happens. But I think Solskjaer will probably stick by him. But he's definitely had an up and down season.
Yeah, I would stick with him as well, to be honest. He's been there for how many years now, and I think he does deserve a trophy with us. And we'll have to see how he is next season. Obviously, for Spain, that's a big problem as well, because they've got Kepa and De Gea, so they're jumping in goal. But we just got to trust in him. Maybe his confidence has gone with that big wage he's getting, but we'll have to see next season. But yeah, I'd probably say a 4.5 out of 10 for me. But going on to, obviously, Lindelof. How do you think he's done this season?
I think Lindelof, especially towards the end of the season, has actually been one of our best defenders. I think a lot of people were kind of questioning the Lindelof-Maguire partnership a little bit when we weren't doing too well. Obviously, Eric Bailly is his direct competition. I think Eric Bailly actually did pretty well to give him that competition, but Solskjaer seems to have warmed to the idea of Maguire and Lindelof being the partnership. And I think Lindelof's done all right this season. I think he's done all right overall. Again, he's similar to De Gea, where he has made some errors this season. And there has been games where he's been bullied by kind of bigger, stronger forward players, and that is definitely something he's got to work on, and maybe needs to bulk up in the gym. Who knows? But I think actually his positional sense is pretty decent, and he has been one of the main reasons why we've kept a decent amount of clean sheets, especially in that unbeaten run. So yeah, for me, I think Lindelof hasn't done badly this season. I don't think it's his best season for us, but I don't think he's done badly overall. So I'd probably give him a 6.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think he's done quite well this season. You could, I don't know about Maguire, really. I think they're even right now for the price Maguire is getting, obviously. I want to see an improvement. But with Lindelof, he's made some crucial tackles in there, especially that City game where we won. I think I can remember him making a crucial tackle there. And he's done quite well for himself, yeah. But going on, I'd give him probably probably like a 5, 6 out of 10, really. We're going on to Maguire. Obviously, Maguire been brought in for 80 million. Has he satisfied that value?
Yeah, I think it's very, very difficult to satisfy an £80 million price tag, the most expensive defender of all time. And realistically, this season, I don't think he's shown he's worth that, but I don't think he's been bad. I think there's a lot of people out there that say, he's been shocking this season. And personally, I don't agree. I actually think he has added stability to our defence. I think he's added a very much a strong presence in the defence and leadership qualities as well. Something that we haven't really had at the back. He's very good at organising. And that is actually a trait that sometimes gets forgotten about Harry Maguire. So for me, I think he's done all right this season. I don't think he's been our best defender, but I feel like he's added a lot of stability. And I think next season he's got all the tools to kick on. And you've got to remember, he had a lot of pressure coming in as well, getting the captain's armband straight away. So I think he's dealt with that pretty well. So for me, I'll give him, around a 6 or maybe even a 7.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Again, I think he can improve going into next season, but I don't know if this is the right partnership to go into next season. We'll have to see who gets brought in. Really, I think Ole will go with it, but who knows really? But yeah, I'm going to give him probably a 6 to 7 out of 10. I think he can lead us to maybe a title, and it's only his first season, so we'll have to see what he does next season. Yes, he's made some mistakes, but he has really built a good defense around him as well, and he's a very good leader. So I really do agree with that. But going into Eric Bailly, I'm not going to rate Eric Bailly because he hasn't played that many matches for us. But what's your thoughts on him? Because he always does get injured and that. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's his only main downfall, really. As you said, I can't really speak too much about what he's done this season, but when he did come into the team, I actually thought he did all right. I think there was a run of games where he came back from injury. We had 5 clean sheets in a row. So, I think he's not a bad defender, and obviously there is that competition there with Lindelof. As I said, I think unfortunately because of his injury and because of the fact Solskjaer seems to favour Lindelof over Maguire, it's hard to really rate him overall for the season. But when he's come in, I don't think he's done too badly. So if he can keep himself fit, I think we've definitely got a good option there.
Yeah, let's not even go on about Phil Jones because he never will end up leaving. I hope he does. But going on to Luke Shaw this season, how do you think he's done? Because obviously it's been tough for him. He's been called overweight and all that. But fair play to him. I think he's done very, very well this season. And he can probably be our left back for next season as well.
Yeah, he's bounced back from a lot of criticism. And I think actually towards the end of the season when he was injured, a lot of people realised how important Luke Shaw is to our team and how his runs going forward actually help the likes of Marcus Rashford to play at the level he does. And I think Luke Shaw has done decently this season. The one thing that is slightly lets him down overall is sometimes his defensive positioning. Sometimes he does get caught out a little bit up the pitch because he likes to go forward. But then you get the opposite of that, which means that he does help us create a lot of chances because he goes forward. So for me, I think Luke Shaw's had a decent season, and he's still fairly young, and he can still improve his game and become one of the best fullbacks in the world, I believe. So I think going forward, he could be an integral part of this team, and I think this season he's done fairly well. So I'd probably look at giving him potentially a 7 this season.
Yeah, I think he's done very, very well. Very underrated this season as well, I think. I think going forward, yeah, he makes those passes that nobody really else sees as well. So I think he's really good going forward. And yeah, I think I would give him probably 7 as well. I think he's very, very key to our defence and why we've got so many clean sheets as well. But going into our right back, obviously, Wan-Bissaka, obviously coming in from Crystal Palace. How good has he been this season?
Yeah, wow, he's been brilliant. I mean, I think he's cemented his place as the best one-on-one defender in the league. I think very little players get around him. I think Sterling's still in his pocket from the last time he played Man City. Unbelievable from him, really, defensively. I think if he could just improve going forward, I think he'd be the all-round right back. But for me, defensively, I can't see a better fullback, right back in the league. I think he's better than Trent defensively. And as I said, if he could get that going forward and the quality of cross and just forward play right, he could be a fantastic player for us. And I still think he is a fantastic player for us. But yeah, for me, I think he's brilliant. I think to come in on the price tag and all the pressure as well, and to play like he has, you've got to commend him for that. So yeah, I think he's been fantastic for us, and he's only going to get better. He's still young, so very, very hopeful for Wan-Bissaka. And for me, I think you could probably give him like a 8.59 this season. I think he's been brilliant.
Yeah, very, very good. And obviously, who's Trent in this game really anymore? Because dominate this season, and I think he can definitely be our right back for a very, very long time, because I don't see anyone better than him coming into the club, really. So if he can improve his attacking, then I think he will be a world class right back. But we can't really rate Diego Dallo. I don't think he will be here for much longer at Manchester United. So let's not even talk about him. But going into the midfield, what do you think about Fred this season? Because he's been on and off. He had a really good spell in that midfield, but then obviously it doesn't look like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to play him anymore. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think on and off is the right way to describe it. I think at the start of the season, a lot of people questioned him, but then he actually had a bit of a resurgence towards Christmas time. He actually was probably one of our most improved players. And, I really enjoyed the fact that he took the criticism on board and then actually improved himself and became really one of our most integral parts. And at one point, he was one of the first names on the team sheet. But then obviously after the restart, he just wasn't able to find that form again, and Solskjaer looked to Matic to replace him, and obviously he had Pogba and Fernandes coming back in, so Fred kind of got frozen out the starting 11 really. I don't think he's a bad player by any means, but I still think that I don't, obviously with the midfield we've got right now, I think we have better options. So for me, I think Fred this season, it's been up and down, he said, on and off. Whether he could potentially be a squad player for us going forward, who knows? But for me, I think he's done all right this season. I'll probably give him a 6 overall.
Yeah, I don't know about Fred really. I hope he's going to be a squad player, because I think he can be a good player to bring on off the bench, or maybe start a game where players are injured. But yeah, I think he did have a good spell at the start or in the middle of the season, but I think he has gone off now. I'm gonna give him a 5 out of 10. I think he has been all right when he was in, but I think now he probably doesn't deserve a team in the spot anymore, because obviously we have much better players and we need to play our best team, really. So that's why I think Fred gets a 5 out of 10. But going on to Jesse Lingard, how has he been this season? Obviously, scoring his first goal for the club this season in the last game. I saw a guy who had the bet on to have him not assist or score the whole season. How devastating must that be?
Yeah, I know, man. I think, listen, Jesse Lingard. It was great to see him get that goal. I mean, some people might say could be a farewell goal. Actually, obviously, if he is going to leave the club, that will be his last goal, and it's not a bad way to go out, to be fair. But yeah, he hasn't played too much this season in the league, and obviously he's spoken out about how he's had troubles this season with his mental health, and obviously not playing and just not feeling himself, and for that to come back from that and score the goal is just great to see. But at the same time, overall this season, you can't say his performances have been great. And yeah, I think unfortunately for him, he hasn't really played too much to really be able to, get him that high rating over the whole course of the season. But you never know. In the Europa League, I feel like he will have a part to play in that. So if we can win the Europa League, I think that'll be a great way for him to potentially sign off. So for me, I'd probably give him around a 5 or a 6, really. I don't think he's done too much this season, but that's also because he hasn't really been played that much. So, but yeah, if we do win the Europa League, I think that'll be a great way for him to sign off.
Yeah, I can really agree with that. I don't think he does have a place at the team anymore. I think he's obviously gone out of form, and he did have them family problems. So I am happy for him over that, and he did say he was ready to go on with the season now and go into the Europa League with confidence. So yeah, hopefully he can go off with a trophy, and then who knows where he goes. So going on to Matic this season, how has Matic been? Because I think he's been crucial to our team recently, because I think defensively no one else can beat him really.
Yeah, listen, yeah, for me, I agree with that. I think, in the second half of the season, I think he's been one of our best players and one of our most important players, really. I think, again, it's a tale of two halves for his season, really. I think in the first half of the season, a lot of people were saying that he was finished, that we need to get rid of him. And then, again, he came back from the criticism and played a very, very vital role. And obviously, he is getting on a bit, so I'm not sure how much of a long-term future he has at the club. But for the job he's done towards the end of the season, you have to commend him, especially playing all those games thick and fast at his age and being able to be fit for those games. So, yeah, I think for the whole season, obviously, you wouldn't be able to give him the top echelons of grades. But at the same time, if you look at what he did in that second half of the season, you could argue he's one of the first names on the team sheet. And I didn't think I'd be saying that, around kind of, November, December time. So, fair play for him for that. So yeah, I think if I had to rate him out of 10, I'd probably give him a 7 just for the brilliant job he did and the integral part he played in our unbeaten run.
Yeah, second half of the season, he's been very, very good. I've been very impressed with him. And he wasn't meant to come in. It was because of an injury. But I think now he's one of the first names on the team sheet. So you can only praise him on that. But yeah, I'm going to give him probably a 7 out of 10. I think he's really done well for what he can do. But going on to, obviously, Juan Mata. Juan Mata now, I think he's obviously losing it. I don't think he's fit enough for the Premier League anymore. But maybe get him a Europa League. What do you think on that?
Yeah, it could. It's another player. Might sign off with Europa League. Might be the perfect way to do it. Yeah, I think unfortunately he's not the same sort of player that we brought in under David Moyes. I think he is aging a bit, and he's slowing down. I think the fact that because he's someone who likes to have the ball and likes to kind of dictate the tempo, I feel like he kind of slows down the play a little bit when he gets the ball, and unfortunately that just doesn't really suit the style of play that we're playing under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Again, as you said, he could potentially have a vital role to play in us, lifting the Europa League if we do that. And I think, again, that'll be a great way for him to sign off. But this season, unfortunately, I don't think he's had the best of seasons. So yeah, I can't really rate him that high, to be fair. But I like him as a guy. But unfortunately, this season, I don't think he's had that much of an impact. So yeah, probably around a 5 for me for Mata.
Yeah, he's a fantastic guy off the pitch, but I don't think he's fit enough for the Premier League anymore. But yeah, what can you say about him? Really, hopefully we get him off of the Europa League. But as you said, he does slow the game down now, and that's not how we want to play anymore. And we don't really need him in these games, you could say. So maybe get him in the Europa League. But yeah, I think he is off in the summer. But going into Pereira this season, wow, Pereira, what can you say about him? I don't know what to say about him. I don't know what to rate him. I think he makes awful decisions and can't stand it. But what about you?
Yeah, I think Pereira's had a shocker of a season this season. Again, he'll probably play Europa League games, and as if we win the Europa League, you have to say he's done well there. He's won a trophy this season. But yeah, Pereira, he won't want to remember this season. I think he's still kind of, I wouldn't say he's young, but he's still got a long way to go in his career. So I'm sure he'll improve. But I think right now he's definitely under the category of Deadwood, in my opinion. I don't have much else to say other than that. So yeah, I think he's had a poor season realistically this season.
Yeah, I can only agree with that. I don't know where he'll be next season. I think he might still be at United, but he'll play a game or so. I don't see him improving the team or starting in the team. But Paul Pogba, how has he been this season? Because obviously he was unhappy at the start. We don't know whether he was going to play at United or still be at the club. But he's came in now. Bruno's came in as well. I think he needed that to give him confidence. And potentially he might be staying at the club now with signing a new contract. So how well do you think he's been this season?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, it's a tale of two halves, really. I think Paul Pogba at the start of the season obviously had that injury and was kind of, playing intermittently, really. I think the last appearance before the restart was a sub appearance against Watford. So I think he started the season. Obviously, he was fit at the start of the season, and I thought he was doing all right then. But I think in this resurgence under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer since the restart, he's been brilliant. I think he's been a really important part. I think actually Bruno Fernandes coming in along with Matic's form has actually helped Pogba be a bit freer and be a bit more confident to do what he wants to do. I think that has really contributed to his upturn in form. I think he's done well. I think he is, again, when he's on form, we create a lot of chances and we win games. As simple as that. If he plays well, we usually win the game. So I think if we can sign him to a contract, I think that would be a very, very good signing for us. Whether he wants to stay is another question. And if he doesn't want to stay, then I'd probably rather him go somewhere else. I wouldn't want to play, doesn't want to be here, stay at the club. But in terms of overall the season, I think the first half of the season, you can't really say too much about his performances. But the second half, I think he was brilliant. So for that, I'd probably give him around a 7.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. 7 is probably the right grade for him. And yeah, he has been amazing since he's come back with Bruno. I think, as you said, if he's on form, he's one of the best midfielders in the world. So I would try and keep him because I think he's a vital part of our midfield. But as you said, if he doesn't want to play, what is the point of him being there? Because we've seen signs of it, but hopefully he does want to stay with the club because him and Bruno, that partnership can be something really, really special. But obviously, last but not least, Bruno Fernandes. Wow, what a signing from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. How wow has he done? The golden boy. He's probably, I'm going to say, he's probably got his Champions League. What do you think about that?
Stats don't lie. Couldn't agree more, mate. Since he's come in fact, I've seen the tables. Since he's come in, we would have been top of the league every game. He hasn't actually lost a Premier League game. When he's been in our team, our starting 11, it's incredible what he's done. He's come in, he's lifted the whole squad, made players like Pogba, Matic, and our front line play better than they were before. And I've said this, numerous times. I think I've never seen a player come in and have that sort of impact. A new signing coming to Old Trafford, all the expectations, and to have that sort of impact is just unbelievable. And I think he's mostly the reason we got Champions League. If he didn't come in, I don't know where we'd be right now. Probably dogfighting out with Arsenal down at 8th and 9th. So it's brilliant that he did come in, and such a crucial signing from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But yeah, he's been absolutely brilliant. The stats speak for themselves. And to be honest with you, I don't care if anyone thinks he's a penalty merchant. I really don't care. As long as he's sticking him in the back of the net, I do not mind one bit, to be honest with you. So yeah, for me, Bruno Fernandes has lifted the whole team. He's been absolutely superb. And sometimes you just run out of words for his performances, really. So for me, I think for the impact he's had and the fact he's been able to keep up his form throughout all the games coming thick and fast, you've got to commend him. And I think he's got to be at least a 9, at least.
Yeah, Bruno, what can you say about him, really? Obviously, I think that is one of the main reasons we have got Champions League. And I hope he does continue up the next season, because I think that him in the middle, he creates chances, he gives the team confidence, and just on and off the pitch, I think that's one of the reasons why we have got Champions League, because before he came, none of the team were confident. And since he's came in, we've now got Champions League. Players are playing well. I think he's just changed the whole skeptical of Manchester United. But so I'm going to give him a 10 out of 10. What else can you say, really? I'm going to give him a 10 out of 10. But going on to Martial. How good is Martial this season? I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has changed him around. He's smiling again. He's scoring again. What can you say about that?
Yeah, mate. Well, I'll tell you what, I think there's a reason why he's up for Player of the Season. His goals have been vital this season. They really have, especially in this run of form we had. He's scoring some brilliant goals and really important ones. And I think he is someone who was doubted at the start of the season. Obviously, we got rid of Lukaku and Sanchez, and we were left with Martial and Rashford. I think a lot of people looked at Martial. He was made the number 9, thinking, is he good enough realistically to get us back into the Champions League as number 9? And he's proved a lot of his doubters wrong this season. 22 goals in all competitions, could go up potentially, however he does in the Europa League. So I think that's a decent return for him, especially at only 23 years old. He's got so much more potential, so much more to prove. I think he's been vital to our success this season. And I was one of those people that said that Martial's a decent player, but he needs to be a bit more consistent. But towards the end of the season, he really has proved me that he can be consistent. And if he can continue that into next season, we have what player we have on our hands with Anthony Martial. So for me, I think he's had a decent season. Obviously, he did get injured as well, which is a little bit unlucky. But if he didn't get that injury, who knows how many goals he could have had. But anyway, for me, I think I'll give him an 8 out of the whole season. I think his goals have been integral to where we are right now. And so you have to give him credit for that. And hopefully he can continue this form into next season.
Yeah, I think he can be very vital for next season. As you said, the goals he scored this season have been vital as well. So, and under the likes of Aubameyang, under the likes of Ings, and under the likes of Harry Kane, you could say he's been one of the best strikers in the league. And he's with that trio now with Greenwood, him and Marsh and Rashford playing together. I think they can really make a good partnership. But yeah, obviously going into Greenwood, wow, one of the best youngsters in the world, best in the world. He's been phenomenal, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, you summed it up perfectly there. I think Greenwood for the 18 years old. I mean, 18 years old to be doing what he's doing is absolutely ridiculous. Scoring important goals, getting us out of holes. I can think of 3 games off the top of my head. The game against West Ham, Sheffield United as well. He scored the equaliser. The game against Everton, he's scoring such important goals for us at such a young age. And in some ways, it's a little bit embarrassing having to rely on an 18-year-old. But in the end of the day, if he's scoring goals, you have to be happy for him. The technique on his left and right foot, what he's doing is just ridiculous. So, again, Greenwood's another one of these players where you run out of words to describe him. At such a young age, as you said, you could say he's one of the best young players in the world. I'm hoping that the pressure doesn't get to him and he can continue to flourish under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But for me, he's had a brilliant season, and again, he's another one of these players who will probably have a pivotal role to play in the Europa League. So hopefully he does, and hopefully we can get our hands on that Europa League trophy. But for me, Mason Greenwood, for what he's done at the age, I think a 9 for me.
Oh yeah, you cut out for me a bit there, but I heard quite a bit of what you were saying
Oh,
about
sorry.
Greenwood's technique. Yeah, no worries about that. But I've heard quite a bit what you said there, and he's been very vital to us. I think he can score with either foot, and he's one of the best youngsters in the world right now. He's helped us out a lot of hard games. He's won his games as well. So I can only hope that maybe we don't need a Sancho right now because we have Greenwood. So who knows? But we'll see going into next season. But I'm going to give Greenwood a 9 out of 10. I think from coming in and doing what he's done at 18 years old is absolutely phenomenal. We're going on to Marcus Rashford. Oh, how good has he been this year? Potentially one of our player of the seasons. What can you say about him?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why he's third in the nominees for Football Writers Player of the Year. I think he's been very, very good this season, on and off the pitch as well. Is off the pitch, antics. Well, we can't really say antics. Off the pitch work has been brilliant. And I think on the pitch he's been decent. I think the injury was very unfortunate for him actually, because if he didn't get that injury, who knows how many goals he could have this season. I think he'd be up there with the top goal scorers. I think the second half of the season, I think at first he kind of struggled a little bit, but actually he did score some very important goals in the end. So for me, I think Rashford's been brilliant this season. Again, only 22 years old. We've got a very talented young front line, and I'm hoping we can continue their development and continue them, being ruthless and just being cold in front of goal. And I think Rashford can do that. I think also he's a brilliant playmaker. He's proven he can make really important passes and good key passes as well. So adding that to his game is brilliant. So for me, I'll give Rashford an 8, just under Martial, but I'll give Rashford an 8. I think it's still probably one of his best seasons for us.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and he's carried us through the first half of the season, you could say, with all his goals. I think he scored some phenomenal goals as well. I think he's also benefited from that partnership with Martial as well. I think them two are really firing on form right now. And I think, Rashford has been key to what we've done this season. And I think he can only improve as well. But since that injury, it's a big injury he's come from. So he's going to have a few games to get back to how he was. And that's why people were criticising him. But the passes he makes are very, very good. And I think he can be vital for us next season as well. But going into Odion Ighalo, what do you think of him?
I think
very good this season.
I think for me, Ighalo, I think he's. I mean, I got a lot of kind of criticism when he first signed from rival fans, not really Man United fans, but from rival fans saying, why are we buying this kid from China? Like, where's the ambition in that? But I think the fact he's come in on a loan deal, short-term loan deal in January, and I think he's done the job that everyone expected of him. We didn't expect him to come in and score, 20 goals or whatever. We just wanted him to be a good backup to what we had up front. And if we had got any injuries, he'd come in. And I think he's got some ridiculous stat where pretty well every game he started, he scored, which is mental for me. But obviously, getting important goals in the FA Cup and the Europa League as well. And the fact that he took a pay cut as well to join Manchester United because he loved the club and he wants to play for us. You've got to commend that and you've got to rate that. And I think for what he's done, the fact we've only brought him in on a short-term loan deal, I think he's been great for us. And hopefully next season, if he does stay at the club, we can, he can also have a good impact and help our squad depth as well, make it a bit stronger. So for me, I think Ighalo, for what he's done, I think he's done brilliantly. So I'd probably give him a 7 or 8.
Yeah, for what he's done, as you said, he's scoring goals, and anyone in the world could be happy with that. It's his dream club. He wants to stay here, so hopefully we'll have to see if he goes back to China or not. So yeah, but we missed a few. I thought of Daniel James. How good is not really good has he been this season? But he was only told that he would be playing a certain amount of games by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because of injuries and that, and he just continued to play games. And I think that's why he has been on a bad patch of form, because he's playing too many games. You say that's fair?
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I think that's a great point. Listen, yeah, Daniel James came in from the Championship. We were kind of expecting him to just be slowly, blooded into the first team, maybe play a few Europa League Cup or FA Cup games. And yeah, because of injuries, he's had to play a lot of the season. And I think he does get some unfair criticism at times from people saying, he's not good enough to play for Manchester United at the top level. But in the end of the day, we didn't really expect him to come in and be a worldy player straight away. And actually, he started the season pretty well. I thought he was one of our better players at the start of the season. But I think, obviously, the intensity of the Premier League and the amount of games he was playing maybe took its toll a little bit on him. So I think as a bench player, as a bench option and a potential future first-team player as well, I think he's not a bad option to have. But again, there is definitely room for improvement. But of course, he's only, 21, 22. So I'm confident he can still become a decent player for this club. And I think he really wants to become a decent player for this club as well. So, yeah, Daniel James, for me, I totally agree. I think he summed it up at the start. I think a lot of people overestimated what he was going to do for this club. And I think a lot of people I think the club overestimated how many games he was going to play for the club as well. So, yeah, for me, Daniel James, I hope he can, better himself next season. But I think we just have to take a little bit of the pressure off him.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. He has played too many games this season, in my opinion. And a lot of what he does is probably coming off the bench is his best benefit, because he does have that pace to go forward and he can run at teams when they're tired. So I think if we use him off the bench when we need him to and play him for games which he only needs to, and I think he can make a positive impact at the club. But this season, I'd probably have to give him a 4 or 5 out of 10. He hasn't been the best, but I think the main thing is that he tries for the club, and I think that's what we need. At least a few players that just try at the club. Maybe they don't really achieve much, but they just try. That's the main thing that I'm looking out for. But obviously, McTominay this season, I think this is his first season coming into the starting 11, and when he's played, he's only played well, in my opinion. I think he's made a few mistakes in games, made a few rash tackles, but overall, I think he can really come up for next season.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't for Matic coming back into the side and showing a little bit of a resurgence, I think McTominay would have been our main guy at that position. And actually, yeah, I agree. I think when he's come in, I don't think he's done too badly. I think that I feel like going forward, he's definitely an option to replace Nemanja Matic. Definitely a cheaper option than going out and buying an Ndidi or someone like that to, eventually replace Matic when he does get a little bit too old. But I think he's someone who, has the character of a Manchester United player. He wants to play for Manchester United. He wants to do well, be successful for this club. And you can see the amount of passion that he has for the club. And it's great to see someone like that. And every time he plays, he gives 110%. And obviously, technically, he's maybe not as good as some of the other midfielders we've got, but he puts in a lot of work. He's a hard-working player, and I can definitely see a future for him at the club, either as a squad player or even in the first team. So hopefully he continues to do that. But this season overall, I'd probably give him around a 6.
Yeah, I'd give him around a 5 to 6, really. As you said, if it wasn't for Matic, and he probably would still be playing and putting in good performances. But obviously, Matic has had that good impact in the team when he came in. Can only say that's but hopefully Tomine next thing, because I do like him, kind of United, but we'll have to see on that. But of course, he loves the club, and you got to love someone. He wants to play for Manchester United. But obviously, for last of all of our players, Brandon Williams, he's came in this season. We didn't think he was going to break into the 11 because obviously Shaw was injured, so we had nobody else to play. But fair play to him. He's coming in at a young age with pressure on him, and he's done really, 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 really well. I think he's made a few mistakes in games. He had a bit of poor form recently, but overall, fantastic in my opinion.
Yeah, look, 19 years of age, again, it's similar to Greenwood. To come into Manchester United and having to play all the games that he has, you have to commend it. You have to commend him. I think some people, have mentioned the fact he has made mistakes. And in my opinion, I don't think he's as good as Luke Shaw. But again, he's 19 years of age. You wouldn't expect him to be. And I think he's actually been a decent understudy for Luke Shaw this season. I think he's done well. And I'm looking forward to seeing how he develops. I think, again, he definitely provides good competition for Luke Shaw, and in games where in games where we're resting players, I think bringing Brandon Williams in is actually almost like not resting a player at all. It's almost like bringing in an experienced first teamer. So for me, I'm happy with the way Brandon Williams has gone this season, and I'm looking forward to seeing him develop even further as a Man United player. So yeah, I think he's done well when he's came in, and hopefully we can get more out of him. So yeah, again, I think he'll be a bit around a 6, maybe a 7 potentially. You could go up to 7.
Yeah, for what he's done, I think he's deserved that score, really. I think he had a lot of pressure on him, like I said, but I really like him. I think he's a very, very rough player. He loves a good tackle, and he just wants to help Manchester United go forward. And I think, yes, he may not be the one to start for the future. I think that's still Luke Shaw, but I think he can be a really, really good replacement. And if he's on the bench, he's going to be a very, very useful sub to have. So overall, that's all the players for Manchester United rated. What would you rate the whole squad out of 10, really? How well have we done?
I think for me, the squad in the first half of the season, wouldn't be able to get higher than a 5. But to be fair, the second half of the season, the fact they've dealt with all those games in succession, I have to commend them. It's difficult to do that because we don't have that much squad depth. So the starting 11 has been brilliant. And the fact that they've been able to keep fit all this time. So for me, I'd probably give them around for the whole season. I'd probably give them around a 7. I think we've got to where we want to be. And it's now just about building on that. And with a few more signings, who knows, we can definitely build on it. But because we met our objective, the squad have done well. So for me, I'll give them a 7.
Yeah, I'm very, very good from the team this season. But last of all, let me let you give me a few of these best player of the season.
Best player of the season, it's a difficult one. It's a tough one. But for me, I'm going Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes, absolutely brilliant. The catalyst to where we are right now. Martial, I think, is a close second. Wan-Bissaka as well as an honourable mention. But for me, Bruno Fernandes, what a turnaround he's brought to this club. He'd be my player of the season.
Yeah, 100%. I was going to think maybe not to give it to him because it's been a bit too early and he hasn't been here long enough. But for what he's done, incredible, and one of our best signings in the last few years, because under Moyes, under Van Gaal, the players they signed weren't successful. And I think this is one of our biggest signings we have made since then. And I think he's been very, very successful. So I was going to give it Rashford, but I think you cannot give it not to Bruno. So I'm going to give it to Bruno as well. But moment of the season, what's your moment of the season?
Moment of the season. There's definitely a lot of honourable mentions. I think McTominay's goal to finish off Man City, Old Trafford, that was a great moment for me. I think winning winning that last game of the season was a big moment as well. Getting over the line, getting into the Champions League. You could probably say Jesse Lingard's goal at the end was probably moment of the season. To be fair, you could definitely make an argument for that. But for me, I'd probably go with. Also, you've got Rashford's goal against Chelsea. What a goal that was. But for me, I'll go with McTominay's goal against Man City. Just to finish off the game 2-0. The stadium was absolutely buzzing. So, yeah, for me, McTominay, that's my moment of the season.
Yeah, the passion and everything from McTominay to finish off our rivals, basically, and do the double over them in the Premier League. You could say doing a double over Chelsea as well. Maybe the first game of the season where we did beat them 4-5, whatever it was. But yeah, there's many moments to these seasons. Obviously, you could say Jesse Lingard's goal. You could say Bruno Fernandes coming in, but there's loads to choose from. But yeah, I think I can only agree with you. But let me most improved player of the season.
Most improved player. I think Matic definitely deserves a shout for what he's, the resurgence he showed. I think I think you could maybe look at someone like Mason Greenwood coming. I mean, to be fair, we hadn't really had too much of a stint in the first team, but to come in and play the way he is, maybe he just hasn't improved. Maybe he's always been that good. You never know. But I think for me, I'd probably give it either to Matic or even Luke Shaw. I think Luke Shaw's been very good this season as well. But I think I'll just give it to Matic just because of how everyone thought he was completely finished at the club, and he turned out to be one of our most important players. So for me, Nemanja Matic gets it, but there are definitely other honourable mentions.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with that. I think this season Martial has improved quite a bit. You could say, as well, Greenwood, but I'm probably going to give it to Martial because I think he's firing right now, and he's definitely changed under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I don't know what it is. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being Ole Gunnar Solskjaer probably just changed Martial's finishing and that, but obviously, there's many things you can talk about there. But finally, worst player of the season. There's only one, isn't there?
Yeah, listen, worst player of the season for me, I'm afraid. Well, as honorable mentions, I think you could look at someone. You could look at someone like Lingard. But for me, I think Andres Pereira. To be honest with you, unfortunately, he hasn't had the best of seasons at Manchester United. I'm not sure whether he's going to be here next season. Who knows whether he's going to stay and be a squad player. But for me, unfortunately, Andres Pereira, this is a season he'll want to forget. So, yeah, for me, Andres Pereira, unfortunately for him. But who knows? He might score the win in the Europa League final. He might have to change what I said. So, who knows? But, yeah, for me, Andres Pereira.
Yeah. That's fair enough. It's got to be one of them two, really, Lingard or Pereira. I'm going to give probably Lingard. He just hasn't been good this season, and at least Pereira has played a few times, so that's why I'm going to get Lingard. But finally, how well do you think we can do next season? What should be our goal? And do you think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will get the players he needs?
I hope so, mate. I hope so. I think next season, it could either go two ways. We could either take two steps back, or I think we can take one step forward. I think if we don't back Solskjaer properly and we go into the season with the same squad and we don't tie Pogba down, I think we could take two steps back and we could end up outside the Champions League next year. I think after getting into the Champions League, we need to back Solskjaer properly. We need to bring in 2 or 3 more players. And I think if we do and we really strengthen the squad and we continue the form that we had in the second half of the season and continue our resurgence almost, I think there's no reason why we can't potentially challenge for the at least second place. And I think the main objective for next season is, whilst also getting into the Champions League, potentially winning a trophy, we need to close the gap between the likes of Liverpool and Man City out in front. So if we can do that, I think that'll definitely show progression. And I think if we are backed, I think we can do that. I'm positive for next season. And hopefully a trophy in the bag as well would be great. So if we can back Ollie properly, I could see us next season definitely looking to close the gap on Liverpool and Man City. I don't think we're going to win the title. Some people were very giddy saying we could potentially challenge and win the title next year. I don't see that happening, but who knows? Who knows? You never know in football, but I just don't see it. But if we can close the gap and make it competitive with those two, I think that'll definitely show progression.
Yeah, I think maybe a few more seasons and then you could potentially see us challenging. But yeah, to go as far as saying we can challenge next season is a bit too far in my opinion, as Liverpool and City right now are just too unstoppable. But you never know in football, it can happen, as you said. But yeah, thank you for coming on for the review. It's been a tough, nervous watch this season, but we've done it. We've secured Champions League football. It was needed, and I think it's a vital part to go forward with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So where can they find you on your socials?
Yeah, well, at RedDevilWeekly, a YouTube channel, RedDevilWeekly, as you can see it spelt there, RedDevilWeekly, all one word. But yeah, just do content like Jack does here, match reviews, previews, all that good stuff, transfer videos as well, as the transfer window's coming up. But yeah, if you want to follow me on there, also Twitter as well, at RedDevilWeekly, all that good stuff. I don't tweet that often, to be fair, but if you want to follow me there, feel free to do so. But yeah, thanks for having me on, mate. Really appreciate it. And guys, if you're watching, make sure you subscribe to Jack and like, subscribe, and leave your comments on what we said. But yeah, thanks for having me on, mate. Really appreciate it, and love to come on again.
Yeah, no worries. We'll get you on again, mate. Cheers for coming on. I enjoyed your analysis on all the players and that and our season. And I hope to speak to you again next season with some more positive stuff and some positive news. But yeah, definitely check him out. I'll leave a link in the description below to his channel. Subscribe to him and check out his live streams. But yeah, subscribe down below, you boys. And yeah, thank you for coming on, mate.
No worries, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.